Welcome to Strength Coach Secrets, where we talk about what really drives success in health and wellness. My name is Coach Ben, and let's get into it. Today, we're going to be talking about the 3 ABCs of coaching. These are just some basic rules that I wish I frankly knew when I started personal training and started as a strength coach. And I think these are things that aren't necessarily the harder skills of exercise selection, programming, and all that. These are a little bit more of what you learn on the training floor, things that aren't necessarily apparent once you start in terms of what good form and technique looks like, but more of the softer interpersonal skills, things that really elevate your coaching and the experience of your coaching. The first ABC is always be communicating. This might seem obvious, and it also might seem maybe not your style, but this is not necessarily to suggest that every trainer needs to be the most extroverted coach there is, that you need to fill every single second with conversation, whether it's meaningful or not. But one of the things I really refer to when I mean always be communicating is even more of the subtleties of communication. Of course, we want to make sure that everybody has a good experience and actually likes spending time with you. That's one of the main drivers of success. Nobody really wants a stone cold quiet session because maybe you're not the most talkative person, which is totally cool, and that might fit a lot of people's style. You might be training more of an introvert as well who doesn't want to talk a lot, but there should be coaching involved. There should be communication as you kind of grow into your rapport with your client. It's really important to know birthdays, family member names, things like that. And a lot of that can be parsed out even with the most uncommunicative client. But what I really mean is some of the more seemingly inconsequential things that can really make a difference in someone's experience, especially if they're new to personal training. So here's an example. Let's say you're at your little corner of the gym. Maybe it's where the personal trainers kind of train. It's more of a functional area with open turf. And you realize that you need another set of weights. Maybe they're going to move up from the 10s to 15s on the dumbbells. So you might just walk away, go over to the other side of the gym where the dumbbell racks are, go grab them, and you turn around after grabbing the weights, and your client's standing right behind you. And you go, oh, I'm sorry, we're going to stay over there. I'll be right over. I just need to grab some more weights. So then they kind of turn around and you almost follow them all the way back to your section. I think we can kind of get ahead of this by making sure that even when we talk about communication, we're referring to communicating every little next thing that you're about to do for someone. And why I think this is super important is because it takes that experience where clients sometimes follow you around maybe a big box commercial gym with kind of like a lost puppy look because they don't really know what's next. Maybe they're not really comfortable in the gym. Maybe they never used a personal trainer before, so they don't really know the flow, the style. Maybe they're a new client. Well, you even just taking the time to tell them, hey, you're going to move up to the 15-pound dumbbells. Stay right here. I'll be right back. I'm going to grab them quick, and then I'll be back over to our mat. At least puts that person at ease in terms of, okay, I know he's walking away. I know I'm not supposed to go follow him because he's just going to grab some weights and come right back. And this is a meaningful thing for someone who especially is, new to fitness. They really might feel lost without your presence because you're the only person that they know there. So they feel attached to you because also they're paying you for your time. Especially so, it feels like if you're going to go grab weights or if you're going to walk away, they're paying for that time with you. So they're going to follow you because they feel like, well, okay, I guess I must be going where he's going. So it's okay to obviously go and run and grab more weights. Communicate that you're about to do so. Communicate that you are just going to go grab a mini band for the next exercise, or, hey, while you're doing this, I'm going to go set up for this next exercise. You're going to do a superset. These small bits of communication, not the bigger, how was your day? How was your weekend? Really can make a difference in someone's experience because it just, again, puts people in that split-second moment of ease of, okay, I know what my trainer's up to. I know that he or she is going to walk away for a brief moment. I can feel comfortable continuing my next set. I know maybe he reinforced that, if you're holding a plank, I don't necessarily need eyes on you every single millisecond of this plank. I'm going to use this time, or while you're resting, grab a little bit of water over there. I'm going to go over here and grab some more weights for the next exercise. It really adds lots of value to you as a coach. It builds trust. It builds a relationship of that person's thinking about my experience. I don't feel like I'm going to be lost just sitting out or following my trainer around like a lost puppy because I don't really know what's going on. So communicate those subtle details. That's the first of the ABCs. Always be communicating. Second ABC, which we kind of touched on before, is to always be coaching. So again, this isn't necessarily to say that you should make up a form error that's not there. right? If someone's perfectly performing, let's just say a goblet squat, you don't necessarily need to call out things that either A, aren't necessarily going to drive much value right now, or B, that aren't even really true or are so subtle that you're just kind of saying something and coaching to coach. But what I mean is really try hard to not go on autopilot. Yes, a lot of people pay us for rep counting, and you are ultimately an expensive timer and someone to show up for in the gym. But you should be always coaching, even if that's not just the form cues, counting out reps, but more of the subtle questions like, how did that feel? If you could do more weight, how much weight do you think you can do? If you could do more reps, how many more reps do you feel like you can do? Talk to me about what muscles felt like were working and what weren't. That's not necessarily coaching the exercise, but it's coaching the experience. It's gaining feedback. It's information that you can then gather to inform your next set, inform your next exercise, inform your next session, inform the program overall. Coaching can be very, very nuanced. It can be very particular and technical. So maybe you're realizing there's maybe a limited ankle mobility on their left side when they're performing a squat. And you'll really need to coach through that and obviously get more and more versed with mobilizations that really help, foam rolling techniques that really help, stretches that may really help, or other exercise selections that might be better for that person if their form really is deviating from what you want to see. But being able to always ask the question about how that felt is really important. But you need to also make sure that you're making meaningful decisions based on those answers of how that exercise or that set felt too. It's very common that I'll see a coach say, how'd that feel? And the client will say, that felt okay. And seemingly that's the end of that conversation. You should be really trying to coach deeper than that, okay? Then you go through the questions of, if I asked you were doing 10 reps right there, how many more do you feel like you could have done with good form? Well, I don't really know, maybe 4 or 5. Okay, well, if that's the case, then maybe let's try to go up 5 reps or 5 pounds for the next set. Your form looked really, really good. So we're going to see adding a little bit of weight. That little brief interaction is you coaching. It's you helping that person get more regulated with how a certain set felt, right? So the idea of auto-regulation and kind of being able to manage your own stress levels, intensity levels, things like that. Getting people to reflect and think about the set that they just did also is really important, because just as much as a coach can go on autopilot and just turn into an expensive timer, clients can just turn into expensive rep robots where essentially they are just repping things out, handing you the weight, resting. Same thing, repeat for 30 minutes or an hour. You want people to be really mentally focused in on their session. It's going to help performance. It's going to help reduce injury risk, and it's to help them ultimately be accountable for themselves and hopefully transition their time with you to more workouts in the gym, either with you or on their own. So always use every opportunity for a coaching moment, even if that's just a in-between rest times, asking them about how they feel like their nutrition has been lately. What did they eat for breakfast, lunch, or dinner? How has their water intake been lately? There are so many things that you can always do that don't necessarily feel overbearingly coaching, grilling, like they're always going to be pop quizzed. But subtle little questions, even just about how that set felt, go a really long way. So the third ABC of personal training is to always be cleaning. This is a really, really important thing that's more so important just for you as the personal trainer or coach, although clients can definitely take this, and you as maybe a general population, and you maybe as a general population listener can use yourself, because it helps organize a training session even if it's not with a personal trainer. After every exercise that you do, after every even set that you may finish and you're getting new weights, it's really helpful to put things away and keep your training area clean. Again, that goes for coaches and that goes for people who are just working out themselves, who are listening in. If you always put things away once, they never have to get put away again. And that's really important, especially if you're in maybe a smaller gym or a really busy gym. Things can get cluttered really fast. People might come up to you and ask you if they can use those weights because they've been lying around for 5 or 10 minutes, which then maybe interrupts your set. But you say, yes, you can because you're done with them, which also is kind of a courtesy thing where you just want to make sure that all the weights are available for everybody at any given time. Certainly, if you're using them, you can communicate that. But always be cleaning is really important, because then at the end of your hour, if you're a personal trainer, you then have to quickly clean up. You might have someone else walking in the door right there who's ready for you, and you're still kind of shuffling about with a really messy gym. And if you're someone who's just training, your programs and your workouts can get much more efficient because you're cleaning up as you go. You're not left at the end of the session with a whole gym or home gym worth of equipment to lie around, and you can more smoothly transition to exercise. For coaches, it's really important because a lot of times your employer, whether that's a bigger box gym, the PT manager, or it's just a gym coach owner, it shows a level of respect to the equipment, to the space, to the other people using it. That's really important that clients actually pick up on. I remember when I was training in big box corporate gyms, I gained a client because they noticed that I was always cleaning up and wiping down equipment after using it. And when I was on the training floor and not coaching, I was always going around and putting all the weights to have the numbers facing out, cleaning off the equipment with a wipe, just making sure that it was fresh and clean and ready for customers. And that person actually came to talk to me and talked about how much they appreciated my attention to detail. So again, that's not going to be the case with every single person, and everybody values cleanliness a little bit differently. But I can certainly tell you other people pick up on it. Your employer might pick up on it. You yourself will honestly understand, oh, if I just clean up as I go, I'm not left with a mess of kettlebells that I have to then go walk around when I'm already tired and already exhausted and I don't want to do this. And then maybe that next person or your next workout, you're not left with a mess you have to clean up before you even get started. So again, always be cleaning. That's the third ABC of personal training. That's the video. I hope you found this really helpful. New coaches, those are just my 3 little basic tips that are skills that aren't necessarily the things that you think about when it comes to being an effective personal trainer. And for people who are just fitness enthusiasts, definitely important to keep those things in mind as well. Always Be Coaching can apply to you, even if you're just someone who's working out, because you should always be thinking and feeling, what am I doing? What can I improve on? How did that feel each and every single set to build a better connection with your body and with your exercise in general? So that has been Strength Coach Secrets. Thank you so much for listening in, and stay tuned for the next episode. You can subscribe to us on YouTube, follow us on Spotify to listen to this podcast, and see you next time.